So, hello, everyone. It's just the two of us, so we're going to be kind of casual, but still plenty informative. We're going to do a quick introduction and run down who we are. So, I'm going to hand it to Bethany first to do that.
I'm Bethany Krupiarz. Nobody can say my last name, so don't feel bad. I am an artist and a professor. I teach at the Art Institute. What else? I know a lot about art and how to steal things. I mean, how to reference things. What about you, Bobbie?
Well, I've been doing this for a long time. I do a lot of my own favorite stuff since I'm independent, and suddenly my mind goes completely blank.
Right? Mine did too. I'm like
steps ahead trying to think of different things to talk about, and I'm like, wait, what's my name?
Right? What do I do for a living? What do I do?
You can see I do a little bit of like everything. You can kind of see some of my pictures in the background.
So right now I'm staying with my parents because of COVID. So like all of my actual stuff is in my apartment. And so like I do a lot of crafts and stuff like that. So like it's all there. And I just I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I wish I had my craft boxes. Like,
right?
Man, such a bummer.
That always drives me crazy when we go visit the family. You know, my husband's family is, I just sit there. I'm like, all of my stuff's at home.
Right? Where's my scrapbook?
So, I think first we can just about stealing art, which is kind of a funny term since what we're stealing is inspiration, so to speak.
Yes. I think it was William Faulkner who said like immature artists borrow, great artists steal, or something like that.
Oh, I like that.
It's a great quote because I was like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Well, I've had an interesting year, and I had an epiphany about stealing this, stuff and taking inspiration in this past year. Since I, like in about September of 2019, I kind of got a migraine and it didn't go away.
Oh.
And so I had it for more than a year, and that was miserable. So I couldn't see very well and my head hurt. I couldn't draw very well. So I went to other crafts, but I didn't draw anything for a year. It's been a while. And then last month we finally got some progress and it was feeling better and my vision's doing better. And so I just sat down and I started drawing, and I've already got 12 drawings that I'm just going like crazy for a new coloring book. And, I've had things like this happen before because of health issues and just not be able to work on my own stuff for long periods of time. And so this epiphany the other day was, I was thinking about, so I started drawing again, and every time this has happened, I'm better. My art is better. My skills are better. I don't know why or how at first. And then this epiphany hit me that, I've spent that year looking and absorbing and seeing other people's things and exactly what we're talking about, taking inspiration from everyone else. And that's great. But the other thing that was there was the time and how many different things I was getting. They had plenty of time to stew in my own stew pot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you learn without realizing how much you're learning. Because, I tell my students all the time, like, guys, carry around a sketchbook. Even if it's, like, that big, carry around a sketchbook. Like, because you never know when you're going to see something and you're just doodle. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be gorgeous. It's like a little scribble. And, like, by the end of some of my classes, like, they'll come up to me and they'll have, like, these little notebooks, or, one of them had this giant notebook of just scribbles that they've done. And it's so great, especially when they do their last presentation. Some of them, they put up on the screen, like inspirations and stuff like that. And a lot of them are sketches from just wandering. Like I had one who did a candy shop. So they went to the candy stores around them. They took pictures, but they also drew in their sketchbooks. So you had the pictures versus the sketchbooks, and like the sketches became more sketches, and those became more sketches. Those became a kind of a final draft, and then revisions and blah blah blah. But at the end, it was this presentation. It was cool to see them go from just being inspired to the final product. You know?
Right. Right. I love that. So do you have, what is your, like, do you have a library of other artists, and what kind of, format do you have that
Yes.
in?
Oh, a lot. So like I am a little bit of a book addict. I think I'm going to call myself a book collector. I have a lot of books, and a lot of them are art books from like movies or games that I really like. So I have those. And it's wonderful to look in them and see, what other professionals are doing. And I love seeing like how they started to where they ended up. So I have a lot of those, especially from movies like Disney or something. And the other thing that I have is like the people that I follow on different websites and stuff like that. Like there's ArtStation, DeviantArt, what else? Behance, Twitter, all the social media sites. But the big one that I use the most is Pinterest, like website wise, like, cause you can find anything on there. You just have to type in, like you're typing into Google, like, rainbows, and you'll get like a bajillion pictures of just rainbows. So it's super
Oh,
easy
so
to
easy
use.
to collect.
Yeah, and you can create different boards and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you're like, I'm thinking about doing, I don't know, a forest drawing. So you go and you get all these forest pictures, and then you can create them in a board that's separate from this other board full of other trees, or. So it's just like, it's really quick and easy to find stuff on Pinterest. I love Pinterest.
And it doesn't take up room on your computer.
No, it doesn't. It's all on the interwebs. And
That's
it's
good.
great. Yeah. And Pinterest, man, I can't tell you, like, and it's so funny when people tell me they don't use Pinterest, because I'm like, but Pinterest is the best. Not only do they have all this artwork, but they've got like food recipes and like all these other things. Like you need to be on Pinterest. Yeah, Pinterest.
I don't use it as much as I should, but dude, the boards that I do have, I use a lot. So
Yeah, right? Yeah. And the best thing is, when you go into your homepage, like they put on stuff that they think you'll like. So I end up like just down a Pinterest hole, like clicking on things, liking that, like clicking, scrolling down, finding more things. I'll if I get on Pinterest, I'm on there for like a long time. Like even if I'm on there to find like one thing, like I'm like, oh, but that'll be good for something else, like, oh, I really like that. So Pinterest is very good for being inspired, like
oh yeah.
for anything. I love Pinterest. I can't say enough about Pinterest and how much I love Pinterest.
I also have a ton of books, a lot from movies and things. And my grandmother was super awesome. She helped with the beginnings of the symposium, and she gave me art books. So I got the first Spectrum collection of the fantasy
yeah.
artists and stuff, and some of those kind of books that collect a whole bunch of other artists. Like there's the art history of sci-fi, and I got some really
Yes.
cool ones. And those, just being able to see the process through the ages has been very,
So
very
awesome.
interesting. I also really love Dover books. I
Yes.
have them all right here, and I can just look on the treasury of Art Nouveau. I love Art Nouveau,
Oh, I
the
love Art Nouveau.
decorative alphabet and initials.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
I've got like just this huge range of them, and
I
they're
can't
so
remember.
great for reference.
Yeah, well, I can't remember his last name. Alphonse?
Muka.
Alphonse? Yeah. Oh my gosh, his work. Oh my god, yeah. I have a book of his. I have a book of his. I might have more than one book of his. I have so many books. Like,
Oh yeah.
but right now they're like in boxes because I moved, and so a lot of them have just stayed in boxes. So I don't actually know what I have. I know I have a lot of books. I know I have a lot of books.
I finally got a house now that is pretty much, this is where we're living, And so I got to put them all up finally, and it's nice to have access to them all. Here's
Right.
here's another one that's sitting next to me. It's Victorian
Yes.
merchandise. And this is all
Yes.
like the old because I've done a lot of steampunk and I love steampunk. So having
Oh, me too.
these old things from some of these are from catalogs too. So they're actual, products, and it's just super awesome. I mean, you can
Awesome.
totally, I mean, a lot of these are in the public domain, so you
Oh,
can
yeah.
totally like steal them and use
Yeah.
them in your own art if you want. But
Yeah. And
those
Google
are
Books.
great.
You can go on Google and go to like their book section, and you can get a lot of like PDFs and stuff for them too. But that actually reminds me, the other best place to go is to an antique shop.
Oh yeah.
Any antique shop, you are going to find stuff that you didn't even know existed. Like I was just there yesterday. I ended up picking up two books, a Gilbert and Sullivan's playbook,
Ooh.
a what is it? The Romance of Leonardo da Vinci illustrated by himself. And then I got some plates. But like through the whole thing, like I found vintage clothing, I found a typewriter, I found little figurines of like these cute little mice, and I was like, "Oh my god, those are adorable. Why are there cute little mice?" A lot of jewelry, like it's so inspirational, and antique stores are always packed full of just stuff. And you can never see everything at once, so you might as well go back a few times, or go back like once a week or whatever, like go a lot, because every time you go there, there's going to be something new that you find. And the way that most antique shops are set up is everybody has a booth, like their own booth. So the booths are owned by different people. So you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff coming in. And antique shops, I cannot tell you how awesome antique shops are. I went to one of them yesterday, and they had like little I don't want to call them miniatures because they were pretty big. They're like this big, but they were of cannons. And I was like, oh my god, I'm actually working on a project that I need cannon reference. So I got my phone out and I just took pictures, and like it's so awesome. I also took pictures of some really ugly paintings. So that's the other thing you can do when you're at an antique store. I like to play the game of find the ugliest painting in the antique store, because there's probably going to be a lot of them.
If you live in Utah, go to DI. You'll find a lot there.
There you go. Like it's just there's so many ugly paintings. But the other cool thing is like you have some antique shops that kind of do like a combination of antiques plus like new stuff. So the antique shop that I went to here had like an art gallery when you step through their front door, which is kind of like there's like two sets of doors. So through the front door, they had a local artist who had her stuff up. So that was really cool. And then you went in there and they had like some shelving over here and some shelving over here. And it had stuff that people have made, like local artists had made, like some of them were like cutting boards and some of them were like pottery and stuff like that. So like you never know what you're going to find at an antique store. You never know. And sometimes you're just going to find something and fall in love with it and have to take it home.
And you're never going to know exactly where such, inspiration is going to come from.
Oh, yeah, no, like, I have things that, like, I have stuff, like, either on my Pinterest board or stuff that, way before Pinterest, was just stuff that I've saved on my computer, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I remember this from, 10 years ago, and it's coming back now that I'm using it, as inspiration for something else.
That's something I love to do is, you go to I love Instagram. The different sites like DA and other ones where people share their art, you can often find, just really cool stuff. And you can, I don't know if you still can on DeviantArt. It's been a while for me, but, you right click and save the images. And they're usually the ones that they're not going to print nice. And that's not the whole point. The whole point is you want to be able to see it. And so one of the things that I do is I have the slideshow function on my computer on the background. And so I just have it cycling through these pictures. So whenever I'm not like consciously looking at my computer on a program, it's just I can see these pictures in the background, and it's just kind of takes all these images and blends the things that they have to add to my brain together, and then they're in there.
That's a great idea. See,
But it does take up space on the computer is the problem with that.
yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes that one image just keeps popping up and you're like, I don't want
Right.
to see that image anymore.
Right.
You
So I
know.
went and I've got a couple hundred. It's a little excessive probably. And some of them are scientific pictures that are really cool because
Oh,
I
yeah, anatomy.
dig that.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I
yeah.
have right now I'm doing paleon oh my goodness, I can't even say it. Paleobotany. So
Ooh.
basically the paleontology area, but it's the botany. So the flowers, the fauna, the flora. So I have a bunch of like drawings because they don't really have anything but like pictures of fossils and stuff like that. So like I've been doing like some sketches and stuff like that of what they might actually look like. So I have a bunch of those and like with all these like scientific like words all on them and stuff like that. And they're really cool. They're really
I love
cool.
that stuff. Love it.
Also,
I
go
had
to your local library. Go to
yeah.
a library.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so much inspiration there. You don't even know.
Well, and there's something about the photos that get put in books as opposed to the photos that are just spammed all over the internet. And a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
the ones on the internet are just kind of they're taken, they look pretty, you like them. But a lot of, if you go to the library and look up a book specifically on North American birds, you're going to find photographs that somebody took specifically to give you as much information visually about the subject as possible. Because it's
Mhm.
kind of the whole point of those. So that's very useful. And so often you have to look at something from as many angles as possible to get it right.
Yeah, and sometimes, oh man, the farther back you go, like in history or whatever, to find something, the harder it gets. Surprisingly, so I'm doing something for the Civil War era, and you'd think with as well documented as like World War II and like the Civil War was, that you could find anything. People do reenactments of these things, like they love them. But finding like a specific thing that they used, trying to find any pictures of it, it like doesn't exist. And like it just doesn't. So it's like it's really hard. Things that you think would be simple to find, super hard. Like
That's why I love
especially
this goods and merch because they're all the normal things that you wouldn't, that they don't document. Like, what did their teacups look like? What did
yeah,
those kind of historical things are hard. And sometimes you have to go through a whole bunch of photos to look at all the little things in the photo.
exactly. And oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've been researching something and it's just that one thing that I need reference of and you just kind of have to make it up because there's
Mhm.
nothing. So,
Oh, yeah. I found
like
it that's another thing I'll steal from other artists is if I find somebody else who's done something in the same vein, I'll go, "Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna make this a little different because I can't find any actual factual historic reference for it. Maybe
right?
they did."
Right? And
Just
in this
trying to
day
find
and
it.
age, like so you have a bunch of like 2D artists who then give their artwork to 3D artists. So for example, like any game studio who's doing 3D, any film studio who's doing 3D, there is somebody in there who has done a 2D concept of something and has turned that, and then somebody else comes and turns that into an actual 3D model to use.
Mhm.
So a lot of people get in that like zone of taking somebody else's concept and turning it into 3D. And
Mhm.
you find it everywhere. I mean, you find it even on people like big people like Danny Mac, who is fabulous. If you don't know who Danny Mac is, you should absolutely Google him and watch his tutorials and look at his stuff. He does stylized characters, and he has I don't know if it's all of his drawings that he turns into 3D or if he takes somebody else, but he is very notorious from taking a 2D concept that he shows and doing a tutorial on it and showing the 3D version. And it's fabulous and it's so entertaining to watch as well because you always learn something new, especially when it comes to like programs like ZBrush, which if you don't know what that is, it's a really interesting program because it's a 2.5D program. So it's not 2D, and it's not 3D. So it's
That is so trippy. I've heard of it.
It's so trippy. Yeah,
I am
it's
such a traditional artist. I'm old. I don't look as old as I am, but I'm old. So I remember collecting my first Morgue reference was in a file folder, or not folder, a big filing thing.
a filing cabinet.
Paper filing cabinet. So that's. I remember I saw once in one of my books, I have a book on the Hildebrandt brothers, and they showed a picture of their studio. And one of the things they had in their studio is all sorts of items. And I know Maxfield Parrish did this too. And he would, like, for modeling things, he would have all these cool looking rocks, and then he'd stand the rocks up and put the lighting on them. And then he'd have that reference. The Hildebrandt brothers, just bit my lip. Sorry. The Hildebrandt brothers had like toy dinosaurs and all those kinds of things, so they could do the same thing. And that's awesome. I love that. I have to not collect all that kind of stuff because I don't have room, and I don't need
about it.
But
tell me about it. And the things that I geek out on are like toy dinosaurs, like when they actually get them accurate as right. Toys. You know, you're like, oh, this is what it actually looked like. It's so cool. And you're like, no, I'll put it down. You know, take a picture of it. Take a picture of it in all different angles.
Store, you can totally do that. Nobody's going to kick you out for taking photos of a dinosaur.
Yeah. So toy stores also big place for references. Toy stores. Well, really any store, I would say. You know what? Let's just go with stores. You know what? If you're out and about anywhere, you know, just even in your house, you could get inspired. You know, just always have your camera on you. You always have your phone on you, probably, anyways. But you never know what's going to inspire you. Like, you could look at one of your blankets that you've had for 50 years, and you know, look at it and be like, you know, I could do a painting of that. That would be really pretty. You know, yeah. Other people should enjoy this blanket that I've had for so long. So let's paint it. You know, you never know what you're going to be inspired by. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is. And there's so much out there. Well, but the best. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead and finish, and then I'll jump in.
I was just going to say the best thing in the world that was invented was our phones with mobile cameras, because you can take a picture of anything.
Oh, yeah.
And unless you're like in a museum and they say no photography, or, you know, someplace where they like say no photography.
Yeah, be respectful. Don't get kicked out.
Yeah. However, if you do find something that you absolutely want to take a picture of, you can always go ask if you're not sure, and they will let you know what their policy is.
Mm-hmm. I found you run into different categories of collections when I'm collecting things. Some of the things that I collect are things that are in the subject that I like, subjects I like. The other ones have nothing to do with subjects I like, but the design and the skill level of the artist. And sometimes it's just, ooh, these pencil marks here just make me giddy. And those I collect. And it's funny how those, like I said, sink in, and just observing the masterwork of somebody else just kind of gets into your head. And those things I find extremely valuable.
Oh, same. One of my favorite things to do is take pictures of buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes, like, they're just so cool. Like, especially because I live in Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah, Georgia is one of the oldest cities in America. So, and they've kept a lot of their old original architecture. And like, I have so many photos of Savannah, Georgia, because it's just, they don't make them like that anymore. And like, I also travel a lot. So like, I have, if I travel, I have to have a camera on me, because I will take thousands of pictures, and I will come home with thousands of pictures. And people, and I'll like, you know, want to show my trip to people. And they're like, why do you have pictures of like sand? Like really like up close, zoomed in pictures of sand. And I'm like, so I know what the sand looked like. You know?
Why don't you?
Yeah, why don't you have it? And like, I have a picture. I went to Brazil recently, and like, so for the first time in my life, I love chocolate. Love chocolate. Like, you can bribe me with chocolate. I'll do anything for you for chocolate. especially dark chocolate. So we were in on an island looking at this old like ruins and stuff like that. It was super beautiful, and there was this cocoa fruit on the ground. So they wanted to show it to us. So they open it up and stuff like that, and it's really cool. It's not what you think of when you think of cocoa beans, but like it's this huge like fruit, and you cut it open and there are these little like pods, and they almost look like abdomens, but there's a lot of them. So it's like 2 by 2 kind of down the row, and it's white. And I was like, I thought that chocolate cocoa fruit would be brown. I don't know why. So like, but I tried it, and it was the most unique flavor I've ever tried is cocoa fruit.
Ooh.
And I'm like, this should be a thing, cocoa fruit. But there's not a lot on there because it's mostly seed. So, but I didn't know that cocoa fruit seeds, so cocoa beans, are not brown. They are in fact purple.
Huh.
And they turn brown because you're supposed to roast them before you put them into chocolate. So, yeah, I had no idea. That was something new. So I have a bunch of pictures of me holding the seed and taking a bunch of pictures of it being purple. And it's a really pretty purple, too. Very pretty purple. I had no idea.
Could you imagine if chocolate was purple?
Ah, it would be so cool. They actually have a ruby chocolate now, and it's made from a specific cocoa bean, and it's like pink. Like
Wow.
It's a beautiful color pink though. It's not like neon pink. It's like a soft like pinkish red. I don't know. It's really pretty, and it has a fruity flavor to it.
Ooh.
And it's amazing. Who is it? Magnum bars have a ice cream bar made out of it, and I've seen it around this Valentine's, because that's coming up this weekend. So y'all, like when you're at the market store, even if you don't have a Valentine's, pick up yourself some ruby chocolate because it's really good. It's way different than normal chocolate, but it's really good.
I'm gonna have to look for some of that.
You might.
I feel the same way about chocolate.
Right? It's so good. It's so good. And I have a lot of photo references of just chocolate in general, and people send me chocolate. I have friends who live all over the world, so they just send me chocolate, and I'm like, I love you.
That's another great thing. Make friends from all over the place because they have different things they can see and they can send you. And just I love the social media and the way that we can share things now.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy to get reference from places and from people and from things. It's getting more frustrating right now on Google. I've been using Google image searches forever for reference, but now the only thing that pops up is just really crappy stock photography. I mean, some of it's not crappy, but a lot of it is just here's a slightly different angle of the same thing. And I don't mind the watermark because I'm referencing it for drawing and for poses, but it's annoying when you're using it for anything because the watermark does get in the way. But I understand.
I get it too. You want people to pay for things. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's kind of expensive to like for one image you have to pay like $10, and I'm like, no, I'll reference it with the watermark on it, okay? Like
I've had like on DA in particular, the stock artists that go on DA and make all the stock photos. So many of them are really awesome, and most of the stock stuff they put out is for photo manip. So if you use some of it for just as reference for your drawing, it's usually so different that you don't need to worry much about that. But if you credit them and you show it to them, boom, they love it, and you get a little more advertising.
Yeah, you do. Like you have no idea how just talking to one person, and if they like what you do, they're going to talk about you to somebody else who talked to somebody else. So it just like goes down this whole line. Like it's a snowball effect in a good way.
That's another thing you see a lot that I have brain. No, I have some other artist friends who have put out things like webcomics and have had other people make fan art of these and then send them to her. And she has found inspiration from some of those and added bits of those into her own work, which was really cool. And the people who did it were just giddy and excited. And she credited them and said, "Hey, image inspired by," or whatever. And that was neat to see that kind of circular inspiration going on.
Yeah, and that's so awesome too, because a lot of artists are so flattered, or just people in general are flattered when you create something for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if you guys are sick of buying like Christmas gifts or birthday gifts or something like that, toss it all out the window. Get yourself a pen and paper and draw something for them, or you know, get crafty and make something. Like, even if it's not, you know, the best thing in the world, like, it's gonna mean so much to them that you put in the effort to make them something. Like, when I got a Christmas card that one of my friends sent me, and it was like of a Pokemon, and it was this cute little Christmas Pokemon, and I loved it. I still have the card. I'm gonna keep it forever because she made it, and it meant so much to me. And especially because she lives in England, so she sent it to me from England and made it for me, and I was just like, and she sent me like a little sticker that she drew in it of my favorite Pokemon, which is Eevee, and I was just like, the feels. It was so nice, and like, you know, like, I'm an artist, like, you know, like, I'm so, like, when I get other art from other people, it just means so much to me.
I'm a Bulbasaur girl.
Bulbasaur?
Mm-hmm.
I do love Bulbasaur. He's cool.
Bulbasaur. In fact, I have a ton of Bulbasaur things. I just don't have any near me right now. I have all sorts of weird stuff near me, but I find a lot of inspiration in toys too.
Yes.
That was the funny joke when I was in the illustration studio at BYU. Is we all had our own tables in the studio, and everybody had different decorations and different things at their tables, and I just had a whole bunch of toys, and people would come by and play with the toys when they were stressed, and play with the magnets that I had that were pictures. And they're useful, and for, if nothing else, they make you happy.
It does. So when I was working at Mighty Coconut, which is a local studio in Austin, Texas, there was oh God, I don't even know what it was for. I think it was because, like, it was the end of my contract and I was either leaving, or it was, I think that's what it was. And they brought me this little toy, and it was so cute. I still have it, and it's this cute little, like, squirrel, like, I don't know what it was, but it was like a mixture of like a squirrel and like a cat or something like that. I don't know. It was really cute. I think it was from like a show, like the pet show. Like, I don't know, like from I don't know if it has to do with Barbie. I don't know. But it was so cute, and I still have it because I think it's so cute, and its head is big, and so it's like a little bobblehead, and so, like, I have it on my desk at home, and I just, you know, when I'm thinking or something like that, or, you know, just need to, like, break, I'll just tap her head, and she just goes, and I love her, and it's the best thing, and it's just this little toy. And I also have one of those stress balls in that, like, have the little giant beads in them. And I squish that around. Yeah.
Oh, those are fun.
Those are so fun.
They're good for your hands. They're
yeah.
exercise.
I tell myself that when I'm, you know, procrastinating and I'm just sitting there.
I'm exercising. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm, you know, trying not to get carpal tunnel and, you know, procrastinating on that arthritis.
Hey, it's better than getting those. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know.
I just got my second carpal tunnel surgery last year.
Ooh.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If any weird things like your health issues come up and you can't, like, you have surgery on your main hand, what are you going to do? You can't draw for a couple weeks. You just look. Looking is so valuable.
Or draw with your other hand.
Oh man,
it may not be pretty.
That doesn't work for me. It looks so bad.
But it's something like I'm kind of a sort of ambidextrous. So, like, when I do my makeup, I do most of my makeup with my right hand. but I will do my mascara and my eyeliner on this side with this hand. So my left side, we'll do it on that side because I can't do this. I don't know what it is, so I have to do it this way. I don't know. It's the only like super weird thing that I do. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that's good. I think we overuse our main hands, and being, an artist, it's gonna wear out. So take care of your hands.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Take care of your health first. Health before art. I mean, you get a lot of stories of people suffering for their art, and guys, you don't have to suffer for your art.
Right?
You can just make art.
Yeah.
Man.
So let's see. We talked about getting pictures and stuff from books and from the internet. And do you have a collection of business cards from other artists? Because my sister has a huge one, and so do I.
I do. Every time, it's really sad because virtual conventions, you don't get to do this, but other conventions, like, bring business cards. Always have a business card on you because, like,
put some of your art on your business card.
Absolutely. With your information, like, because we keep them. I don't know why we do, but like we all keep them. And so like, yeah, I have a little, it's not really little, but it's like with some drawers, and it's got all these business cards that I've ever gotten from all the conventions that I've been to. And sometimes I'm not even a panelist on one. I'm just, there to enjoy. And like, you start talking to somebody and they're like, like, hey, do you have a card? Oh yeah, I do. Hey, do you have a card? Yeah, we do. And like, you end up like, oh, hey, you know what? I know this one person who does this. And, you go through your little file to find them. So nice.
Oh, yeah. One thing I really love that my sister is really good at, she's an artist too. She's 12 years younger than me. So when I was going to school in the illustration department at BYU, I would come home and do my assignments, and she'd sit in my room with me and draw with me. So I guess some of it rubbed off, but we do very different styles. And so we go to things like a different cons. We went to, what was it? The Comic Con here in Utah. And there's just so many artists. The artist alley's huge. And you go around and you talk to the other artists. You see something that you like that they do, talk to them, make friends with them. This is wonderful. One of the things that she's really good at is saying, hey, I love your work. Here's mine. Are you willing to do a trade, one of your prints for one of my prints? And she has this gigantic library of prints from other people for doing this. And not only does it kind of cement her in their mind a little bit, but it also kind of inspires her because she gets all these other people that do things that she likes, and she can see what the zeitgeist in that style is. And that's cool.
Yeah, and my sister does the same thing. Every time she goes to an art convention, she always talks to somebody and ends up being friends with them. And I know that she became such good friends with this one girl who had done, I think, like in her own unique style, she did the Disney princesses, but she only did like 3 of them or had 3 of them and stuff like that. And my sister loved them so much. She was like, she started talking to the artist and was like, I love your work so much. Can you please like do the other ones for me? Like, and they got to talking, and now they're friends. They're friends, and she has all the Disney princesses now. She's very happy. And it's just talking to them, and you just never know where it's going to take you. And most artists are super awesome people, and you should know them already because they're just they're good-hearted people. They're good down to their soul,
Oh yeah. And there's just something about, all artists are excited about their own work, or they should be, right? You need to sell yourself and be your biggest fan. So that should be there. But when you get that validation of somebody else saying, hey, I love this, it's just so wonderful.
It really is. You're like, I'm not doing this for nothing.
Right?
or for just myself.
Right? And I think that's the motivation for most artists is that so I have a real issues socially, and an agoraphobic kind of thing. So it's very hard for me to maintain a lot of interaction, but I love and I really want to make people happy and to give them something that makes them laugh or smile. And art is such a unique way to do that. And I think
Oh,
most
absolutely.
artists, that's their motivation is to uplift people with their work. And
Oh,
so if you
yeah.
tell them, "Hey, I love this stuff. Can you do more of this subject or that?" Or, that it hits the feels too.
Yeah, it really does. Cause like we work so hard as artists to like make ourselves happy, and then when somebody else gets happy for it, you get even more excited because you're like, and then guess what? You find out that you guys have a lot of stuff in common, and guess what? There's your new best friend, and it's so great. And like I'm I can be very social, like very talkative, very like outgoing and stuff like that. But like when I'm at home, I'm by myself, like, or maybe not by myself, but like I'm very quiet. Like I have these moments where like I can be like really energetic and really like out there, but then like I need me time where
Mhm.
I'm just like calm and quiet, and I just do my own thing, and that's usually like when I'm creating art. So as an artist, and like some of the advice that I can give being an artist is teach yourself how to be social, because you can always go home and shut the
Mhm.
door and let nobody in
Oh,
and
yeah.
have your me time.
You can
But
recover.
yeah, but being social is so important because people want to be around people who they can talk to, who they can
Mhm.
like have experiences with and communicate with. So if that's something that you're not good at, just practice it, because like I said, you can always come home. Like you can just go out to somebody for 15 minutes, come home, get under your blanket, and like breathe.
Wait,
Because like
this symposium has been so weird that way because I haven't had to, and I love cons, I love this symposium especially,
but it's a
but at
lot.
the end, I'm like, "Okay, I need 3 days of not talking to anyone."
Yeah, because it's a lot. It takes a lot to be that personable. And I have had a ton of students who have gone through the same thing. They're just like, I just don't like to talk to people. And I'm like, it's something you need to work on. You like People want to be around people who just make them just talk. And like, you have to build your personality and show them, kind of like open your doors and let them see who you are just a little bit, like a couple of cracks, is fine. And it goes such a long way, just
Mhm.
doing that just a little bit.
And you can do it online, and then,
Oh yeah.
online is so much easier to walk away from. You can have
Oh
a
yeah.
conversation on Messenger just a little tiny bit at a time, which is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think
Ab-
I think we should talk we have, what, 5 more minutes or so? I think we should talk a little bit about the dangers of getting so much inspiration, and this kind of works into I have a
yes.
presentation tomorrow, I think it's at 3 o'clock, about how to protect your art. So talking about this, I think, is important because a lot of people will inadvertently cross the line between inspiration and theft without knowing kind of where it is.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's something that you have to be careful with. Absolutely.
mhm,
Because, and a lot of people have gotten in a lot of trouble by stealing stuff. So and it's a really hard thing to gauge. But
mhm,
basically, I tell my students, like, be inspired, but don't copy. And like, if you feel like what you've done is way too similar to what you were inspired by, probably shouldn't post it.
mhm.
You should probably do something else. And you may love it and stuff like that. It may
And
be
keep
your
it for
favorite piece
you.
of art. Yeah, keep it for yourself. So just make sure that you're not going too far, because you could get in a lot of trouble. A
Yeah.
lot of trouble.
And burn a lot of bridges because
Oh
artists talk to
yes.
each other, and
Oh yeah.
just my own
Yes, we do.
experience with people taking art from my sister, from me. It makes their fans, it made our fans really angry, and some of them got kind of mean. I mean, people that aren't mean people, but because they feel like that, they get mean, and you don't need that stress. So
You don't.
when in doubt, don't post it.
Yeah, yeah. Be safe,
Mhm.
because you'd rather be safe than sorry, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And one of the things I think that helps prevent that is multiple sources. And so
Yes.
if you say, let's take the example of anime. You love anime, you love this particular anime, you love My Hero Academia, that's your favorite. And so you draw constantly the things from that show in that style, which is hard because they have a lot of little different
Yeah,
styles in that one. But um, one of the things you can do to make sure you're not doing it too similar is take something completely different. And in your sketchbook, try to combine those two different styles.
yeah,
Try to mix them up, and then it'll change things up a lot faster than you'd think.
yeah. Coming up with your own style, because nobody can get on your case for having your own unique style, because you
Mhm.
can be like, hey, this is all me.
Right?
And that's a great suggestion of taking two different styles and squishing them together, because somebody's probably not doing that. Nobody else is
Yep,
probably doing that.
and break some molds.
Yeah. You might be the new Miyazaki.
There you go. The world could use more of that. That would be fine.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. For sure. Oh, me too. My favorite is Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, me too. Ah,
Really?
yes.
Oh, I love it. Oh my god, it's such oh,
My husband says I'm Sophie, and that is the sweetest thing. I mean, that is the sweetest thing.
I
Is
love
when you
Sophie.
have somebody you love comparing you to your favorite character.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh man,
That's
that's
romance,
heartwarming
right?
right there. That's what a romance is all about, kids.
Oh yeah, but so do we have? I don't know if we have any questions, but it's last chance to ask any questions if you want to know anything. So otherwise, we'll just keep talking because
Yeah,
because we
because we
can.
can talk. Yeah, yeah. At
So
least until they kick us out.
right, one of the things involving not copying or trying not to, one of the things that a lot of people will say that is misleading is, well, it's such and such percentage different from the original. That gets hairy. So if you're just
Yeah.
like, here's the picture, I take everything from the picture, but I subtract, 10% or change the color of 10% of it, those kind of things don't fly. That's
Nope.
why if you really blend something up, one of the other reasons your sketchbook is so important, this is where you do those experiments.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
don't stress yourself out if, I didn't have a style. For a very long time, I was just playing with mediums and one medium to the other. I've done oils to pen and ink to graphite to, you know, um, frescoes even. I have done pretty
Yep.
much everything. And somewhere
Ditto.
in the process, my style developed. And I didn't really even notice it until one of my friends was like, "No, I can tell when it's yours. There are hallmarks. It'll come.
Yep. Yep.
Just
So,
keep sketching."
yeah, and don't worry about your style development, because it'll come. It
Mhm.
may not come like tomorrow. It's going to come down the line. And always, especially like if you're interviewing someplace or, talking to people, having a sketchbook on you and showing them your sketchbook is
Oh
going to
yeah.
go a long way. Because I have been there, and I have students, and I've had friends, I've people I know, like they all have had an interview where somebody has asked to see their sketchbook. So even in an interview, bring your sketchbook, because they want to see what else you do.
Mhm. That's where you get the idea process, and for a job, a lot of what they want is to see is your idea process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so having those art books and stuff like that, like from that we both have from like movies and games and whatever, like going through there and seeing that put together, it's so cool. And
Oh
I
yeah.
know in case you're wondering, for a master's thesis in animation from Savannah College of University, Savannah's College of Art and Design. Whoa, I screwed that up. You have to do either a research paper or you have to do a art book, which is basically like the art books that you get from, movies and video games and stuff like that. They want everything. And to be able to have something like that, like professionally done, is like really cool. You don't have to do it, just bring your sketchbook, but like having something like that where people can see your process is so cool. So cool.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, they eat that stuff up. I can't tell you how many art books I have. It's fantastic.
One of my favorite subjects of art books that I have are sketchbooks. I have these sketchbooks of Frazetta, and seeing his sketches are almost more exciting to me than seeing his paintings.
Leonardo da Vinci. I love his sketches.
He's great.
Oh,
just the creativity that they give you.
I know, he was such a genius.
I would love to just have an afternoon conversation with him.
Right? I would need to learn Italian, but
I'd learn Italian if I could do that.
Renaissance Italian at that. Woo.